You're a fan of Mad Max Fury Road and a fan of paracord, you definitely noticed the bracelet. But what was the story behind it? Well, back in 2015, Mad Max Fury Road exploded across movie screens in a splash of motor oil, sand, fire, and blood. One thing we paracord fans noticed was the bracelet wrapped around Max's wrist. It was a simple paracord bracelet we all know and love, the Solomon knot, or more casually named the Cobra knot in the paracord world. And one interesting thing about this Solomon knot bracelet is that it didn't use the typical knot and loop clasp. Rather, it was a closed loop bracelet that would be put on by expanding the bracelet, then you'd cinch it by pulling on the stopper knot. More on that in a bit, but let's start this one we're doing today off with a double snake knot. So now that Furiosa: A Mad Max Saga is out in theaters, I had to revisit this concept. I thought that the Solomon's Mountain pattern would be fitting, and now no spoilers as I already did see the movie, but Furiosa does indeed go through a mountainous level of challenge in this film. And speaking of challenge, this pattern was definitely a bit of a doozy. It looks simple, but the pattern is a tad confusing. So I'll have some text instruction for reference in the description box. By the way, I'm looping the running ends around and through the standing end core strands, and this is somewhat of a new concept as it keeps the Mad Max closing method tight. So as the running ends wrap back around, we start the pattern off with 2 Solomon knots. Make sure you start off with the right cord going over the core strands like I am. And before I get back to the story, let me walk you through this pattern just for a bit. So notice we passed the left or gold cord over the core in the previous knot. So that means the now left or black cord is going to pass through the middle from the back. Then the gold cord on the right is passing through the core strands from the front. Going back to the black cord, it's now going to pass over the gold and then through the lobe on the left from the front to the back. Notice how it wraps under the gold. With the gold, it's going to pass from the back to the front through the lobe on the right. Cinch up that knot and work all the slack out. Next knot, the gold on the right passes through the back to the front, and then the black passes through the middle from the front to the back. The gold cord wraps around the front and through the gold lobe on the right. And then the black cord passes around the back and through the black lobe on the left. Cinch and tighten. Well, that's the first section of knots, and we're back to the Solomon knot. The gold cord is always going to pass over the front after that set of 2 knots, and we're only going to tie 1 Solomon knot. The black cord on the right goes through the core strands from the back to the front, and the gold cord on the left goes through the core strands from the front to the back. Black cord wraps in front and back through the black lobe on the right. And the gold cord wraps around the back and through the gold lobe on the left. Pull tight and cinch that knot up. Next, the gold cord goes through the middle from the back to the front. And then the black cord goes through the middle from the front to the back. The gold then wraps in front and through the gold lobe on the left. Then the black cord wraps around the back and then through the black lobe on the right. Pass all the cord through and cinch up and pull tight. Finally, a Solomon knot with the gold cord passing over the core strands from the left to the right. So we've tied 2 sets of knots and we're back to the beginning. So that's the pattern to repeat, and think of this one as repeating sets of the first and second sets I just demonstrated. And as I mentioned earlier, the way we're doing this Mad Max style bracelet is also different from the original method I taught way back in 2015 when Fury Road came out. So back to the origin of Tom Hardy's paracord bracelet. Well, in a 2015 interview, Tom Hardy stated that he received his paracord bracelet from a friend in the military. No surprise there. And we can assume that his friend also taught him how to make the bracelet in that fashion. Not only that, Tom stated that he had the pleasure of meeting the original Mad Max, Mel Gibson, and out of respect for taking on the role of Mad Max, Tom made and gifted a paracord bracelet to Gibson himself. He even gave one to one of the producers on Mad Max Fury Road, and Tom referred to them as broslets. So I guess that means we have Tom Hardy's friend in the military to thank for using the Solomon knot to come up with the Mad Max paracord bracelet. Now either way, I've always found it so cool that Tom Hardy is into paracord bracelets and isn't just wearing one in a movie because a costume designer told him to wear it. In fact, he has worn a paracord bracelet in the movie Venom and is often seen wearing paracord bracelets when he's out in public or attending movie-related events. So thanks, Tom, for representing our hobby out there on the big screen. As for my Furiosa's Mountain paracord bracelet, I did the clean finish at the end to hide the melted ends on the inside. And if you need to readjust the double snake knot for sizing, feel free to do that as well.